So before we get going, big thanks to Mark Tibbs for coming on here and sharing with us his boxing knowledge and from a true boxing man. Thanks for coming on, Mark. I really appreciate it. I know you're a busy man.
Thank you, Mark. It's a pleasure, my friend.
Yeah, lovely to see you. So, Mark, let's start with your amateur career. You had a phenomenal amateur career as a boxer at the Repton. Did you always box for Repton, or did you box for somewhere else as well?
Mark, I went to the when I was about 6 years old. 6 years old, so it was a very long time ago. I'm 51 now. A guy, May, that was Mickey May. You probably know him from West Ham Boxing Club. Mickey, a good trainer down there, but he was a very, very good friend of my father's. And my dad was actually, he was in prison at the time. But I'll never forget, he brought me around a pair of boxing gloves. And when I was 6 years old, he gave me the boxing gloves and he just left them there. And I got an uncle, an Irish guy called Dennis Doherty. I call him my uncle, but he's been, you know, more or less like a father to me when my dad was away and my brother. But he took me to the Repton Boxing Club in Bethnal Green. I was in Hackney there, up there, years ago. And so I'd done the nursery at the Repton Boxing Club when I was 6 till about 8 years old, or 9 or 10 or something like that. And then when my dad came out of prison, I think around when I was around 13, he took me to West Ham Boxing Club for a brief spell. But then I think I won a title there, a schoolboy title. And then he took me to moved me to the Cheshire Street Repton Boxing Club, where it is today.
So who was the main coach? Who was the main coach in those days, Mark, at Repton?
Back in those days, you know, there was Darky Smith trained me. I don't know if you know Darky Smith. He had a son who was he was a fair pro as well. Stevens. So Darky Smith was actually my first trainer, and Tony Burns. Tony Burns was a lot younger when I was 6 years old, like we all was.
Yeah.
So they was my main trainers back then, and I'll never forget. Funny enough, Mark, when I was only at nursery, I remember a man come in the boxing gym one day, and he done some pictures, and it happened to be, well, the guy went to me, "Who are you?" He asked who I was, and I told him who I was, and he said he knew me dad and that, and it was John H. Tracy. He just come back from fighting Jose Napoles and won the world, I think he was the lightweight title champion of the world. He went out to Italy, he went out to, thanks very much, cheers Kev. Anyway, he travelled all around, somewhere around the other side of the world and brought back a world title. So, and he was my first, you know, one of my idols I looked up to back in them days, John H. Tracy. Yeah.
I think I remember seeing that picture. I think I've seen that picture somewhere. So you know, you obviously had a lot of amateur contests. What was sort of was it about winning titles, or was it just about boxing, or you know, was it, you know, what kind of mindset did you have from your younger age?
I had some good, when I went to Repton, in the new Repton Boxing Club where it is today. Georgie Bowers and Tony Burns overseed everything, but Georgie Bowers was one of my trainers there, along with a guy called George Odwell. George Odwell, he really changed me a little bit. I feel that West Ham Boxing Club was totally different to Repton. I feel that at Repton, with all due respect, I learned my craft a little bit more with Repton, because it got me slightly on the back foot. And I learned how to move my head, as you know, they're both good clubs, obviously, but I just felt I won a lot of titles with Repton, and I started off having bouts there. Then everything. I was only there a little while, and everything was championship fights, and we really boxed. I had international fights as well, but I had about 86 amateur fights in total with Repton, and you know, mostly in championships, NABCs, schoolboys, and junior ABAs and multi-nations and all types of different competitions. And they took me out to Norway to fight, and you know, Holland and some places over there, you know, them sort of countries. But no, I had a really good time at Repton Boxing Club, and I won a good titles there. Very good titles there. But I wish I would have stayed on. And I've just got in the England squad, you know, when I was 18. And I think a man called Kevin Hickey run the England squad back then at Crystal Palace. I had a spell there, and I wish I'd have stayed there a little bit longer and got some international experience. But obviously, I turned professional a little bit too early than I should.
That's actually very interesting. That's going to be a question that I'll talk about later on. So did you feel pressure because your dad was Jimmy Tibbs, or was it just something that just come natural to you anyway, and you were just happy to box, and you know it was that sort of environment, or was there that little bit of pressure?
To be honest with you, Mark, you know, I thrived on pressure. To be honest with you, I used to enjoy pressure, and I love the nerves, and I love the pressure. But I'll be honest, the pressure was a little bit uncomfortable at times when I was a professional, when I was living with my father and he was training me. And you've brought it up now, so thinking back, that's when it was a little bit uncomfortable in my early 20s, I guess. You know, I felt a little bit, because I was a bit of a thinker when I was a fighter. I like to think for myself. You know, obviously I didn't know everything, and I listened to good knowledge, you know, what my father gave me. But you know, my father wanted extra good for me, and I guess that was showed in his passion. And I guess that's when I felt a little bit, you know, stifled, sort of thing. Thought I'd take a year out in my mid-20s, I think, when I was 24, 25. Well, I told my dad I've had enough. But secretly, I wanted a year out to get some breathing space. But the year turned into 10 years, literally like that, you know. And that's why I say to young fighters today, you know, don't take nothing for granted, because as quick as it starts, it's all over in a flash. You know what I mean? So make the most of it.
Yeah, one of the questions that a lot of coaches have been asked on this gathering is the thought of young kids nowadays turning professional when they haven't even had a senior contest. You know, so we're getting half a dozen now. We saw Hopi Price there the other night. He never boxed as a senior. Phenomenal talent. You know, I'm a big fan, but they need to look after him. But you know, so what's your thought? I can remember a few years ago. I don't know if you remember. I sent a young kid down to you, Louis Edmondson. Do you remember I sent him down to you? Good few years. Anyway, but I remember you having a conversation with me. I remember having a conversation with you, and you said to me, "You said, Mark, he looks like a boy."
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. And probably that's what he was. And it's not just the physical side of it; it's the mental side of it. So what sort of so you've got an 18-year-old or a 17-year-old wants to turn professional. What are you going to say to him? He's never boxed a senior. You know.
Yeah. Well, generally, like for me, for instance, I'll speak about myself, and I'll talk about some other. But looking back on myself, you know, at 18, 19-year-old, I weren't looking back. I wouldn't have turned pro like I did when I did, because you know. Like I said, I should have matured physically, and you know, a little bit more. I could have been with a little bit more stronger, and had a little bit more international experience, and develop a little bit more. You know, when you ask a young kid, like I've had fellas come into me, like you just mentioned just now, that want to turn pro, and they need a couple more years. They need a couple more years, and to mature. And not everyone's the same. You do get your mature ones and your strong ones. But it's nice if they can be patient, and 2 years is a lifetime to them, but it's not, you know. So it's extra 2 years or 3 years even is I wish I would have took them 3 years myself instead of rushing to turn pro at 19-year-old.
I'm actually glad you said that, because you've actually been through it yourself. You know, you know. you know exactly what it is. I mean, and I'm sure a lot of people on here would say the same thing.
Yeah.
Unless you box as a senior, you're not in the right business, eh?
No.
You need a completely different game.
I'll give an example, Mark. I boxed in. I think I boxed in. I boxed in the senior ABAs when I was 18, and to be honest with you, in the juniors, I schooled everybody. I was very, very slick, and I knew how to move head, and I just naturally knew how to box. But then I think I was in the senior ABAs, and they was Repton Boxing Club was like that, putting me in it on. Anyway, I was successful in the juniors, so they stuck me in with it. But I come up against, I'll never forget it, a guy called, I think his name was Harvey. His name was Brian Harvey from Barking, funnily enough. But he was a stocky man, muscles. You know what I mean? He was strong. And to be honest with you, I think I had a tough fight with him, and he was a man, and I felt the man strength then. I knew that was the first man I ever fought. He beat me as well at York Hall. Sold out and that in boxing, amateur boxing, like it is today. It was a bit more busier back then. We all fought, sometimes we fought 2 or 3 times in one night. But Brian Harvey, I'll never forget, Brian Harvey, or Paul Harvey his name was, but he was the first real man I ever fought, and the man, he could hit. I could feel the man's strength. So yeah, you've got to be like, talk about Hopey Price, for instance. I love that. He's a good kid. I was out in Saudi Arabia. I watched him out there as well. And but we've all moved on a little bit with and we're all got more awareness now. And he's with a good team and a good trainer. And I hope he's brought along. I'm sure he will. And I've got every bit of confidence they will bring him right. But he's going to be a good prospect one day. Well, he's going to be a good fighter.
Yeah, I agree.
Now.
So you turned pro, Mark. I can remember seeing a picture of you and your dad. And you just said that you had a little bit of pressure on you. But when you turned pro, was it always going to happen? Do you think I was always going to turn professional? There was never any question about it. Whether you were 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, you were always going to turn professional. Was that always going to be the case?
Well, when I was at infant school, I'll never forget. Sorry, mate. I'll never forget when I was at infant school, when I was a kid, I'll never forget the teacher asked me in front of all the children and that, what everyone was wanting to do when they leave school for a job. And I was too shy or embarrassed or whatever you want to call it, but I wanted to be excuse me. Sorry. I wanted to be a world champion, but I was too shy to say what I wanted to do, but I always put it in my head. So yeah, I always wanted to be a fighter and a boxer. But and I always wanted to travel, and travel was a big thing of mine, and seeing different parts of the world. But no, I wanted to be a boxer. I've always wanted to be a boxer. Yeah. Yeah,
you were an excellent kid. But remind me who was around in those days, Mark, because in the 80s, all I was doing, I was riding racehorses in the 80s, so I had nothing to do with boxing. I was just going riding racehorses. So who was around in them days that you boxed?
Well, when I boxed, there was you had the Duke Mackenzies. They were a little bit older than me. Jim Reynolds, and then from Repton Boxing Club, we had Jamie Robinson, who was a good pro, fair pro. Dean Honington, who's on the boxing board of control now. Do you know what, Mark? There's a lot of fighters that I just can't bloody remember them. I can picture them, but I can't remember them. But if you want to talk about the greats, we had Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Tommy Burns, Roberto Duran, Julio Cesar Chavez. Who
was your idol? Who was your idol?
Do you know what? The reason why I started boxing initially was Cassius Clay. I loved watching Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, and I used to sit and watch him. I loved the way he spoke, the way he danced, the way he boxed, his confidence. I loved everything about him, and I'm sure I'm one of millions who's been inspired by him. But Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay was the guy that turned me on the box.
Yeah. So you sort of said you walked away from boxing. You wanted a year out. You ended up having 10 years out. What was what was it? Just space you needed, or had you just had enough?
No, well, to be honest with you, I'll tell you what happened now. If I remember rightly, I was managed by Frank Warren, and he gave me a phenomenal start in boxing. I boxed very regular, like once a month. My first bout should have been at York Hall, and I had to go to that was cancelled. I fought in Norwich. That was my debut in Norwich, and in hindsight, it wasn't a bad thing because a bit of pressure was on me. So my first fight was down there. Then I come back to a week later, and I boxed at York Hall. Sorry, Mark. What was the question again? Say again.
I was like, when you left, when you sort of walked away from boxing, was it just like you needed space, or did you just have enough?
No, I'll tell you what happened was Frank Warren. I had a good start with him, a very good start with him, and then his business hit a bit of trouble because he was unfortunately he was shot down. He was gunned down outside a boxing event, but you know. He's obviously he's got through it. He's cracked right on now. But what I'm saying is that when we slowed down a little bit with fighting wise because of the business and whatnot, and then I think I went with Terry Lawless then. I believe Terry Lawless and Terry Lawless, and I had a spell with Barry Hearn. But it was tough. It's a tough business, and living at home. My dad managed and trained a lot of fighters, and you know, it was just a little bit intense, I guess, you know. And my mid twenties, yeah, I can only say I just wanted to take a year out. Everything was boxing, and it was two in my head. You know what I mean? It was two in my head, and I've grown up since I was 6-year-old boxing. Boxing was my life. It was my schooling, and the professional side of it was all good. It's all well and good and that, but you know, you've got to be busy. You've got to be busy, and you've got to be earning money. And I guess maybe I was it was a bit tight at the time, and I thought I'd take a year out. I wanted to look at other things, and no matter where I went, I travelled a little bit. I went to America, and I went to Australia. I went to different parts of Europe, but no matter where I went in the world, I even now I'll look for the gym. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Back then it was a boxing. Now it's just a gym.
Yeah.
I just need a gym. You know, I'm trained. But I went to Jeff Fennick's gym over in Australia, and I went to Fifth Street gym in Miami, and you know, I was only there in brief spells, but I always went to the gymnasium and just done my own thing. I didn't want to, you know, I wasn't anyone, but I didn't want to say, oh, I'm a former fighter back in England and whatnot. And then one year turned into 10 years, and I couldn't. Oh, I was in the Peacock gym. I guess in my 30s, my early 30s, my mid 30s, and I used to excuse me. I used to spar here and there with different people and whatnot. But then, yeah, I've always kept in touch with looking after myself and whatnot. But I went to I sparred with I used to spar with people in the Peacock and help them out, and it was nice. And in my mid 30s, to be honest with you, I found my man strength. You know, I found my man strength. But then, when you get in with a young, up-and-coming, aspiring, ambitious professional, yeah, a prospect, so to speak, then that's when you felt the youth. I mean, I knew the day when I got in with a up-and-coming, ambitious, young professional fighter when I was in my mid-30s, and I had a good day sparring with this kid, and my dad arranged it again for the Wednesday. My dad was training, and then on the Wednesday, I kind of controlled him by the look in my eye. He knew it enough. But on the Wednesday, he'd come back strong, and that's when I felt the youth. You know, I was 35 and he was 20-year-old, 21, 22, and that's when it was like losing somebody, Mark. If you know what I'm saying. When I knew me youth, it was just,
yeah.
it was quite sad, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine, especially being at it all your life, as you were, you know, and a good boxer to go with it. You know, you weren't just a mug. You were a top class kid as it was.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
so how did the coaching come about? Now I know a bit of this story because that's where I met you. So how did the coaching start? Where did that come from?
Coaching started, like, as I said, Mark, in my 30s and my 20s, I always used to help out. I didn't know I was helping them out, really. I just can't help sharing. If someone shows an interest, you know, and I can't help showing, why don't you try this, why don't you try that? I used to take them on the pads and that in the Peacock. But mainly, my dad trained his camp in the Peacock, and I was always around it. And my dad, when I think back now, my dad always used to send fighters like up-and-coming fighters at the time, like Danny Williams, you know, heavyweight Danny Williams, and there was Wayne Alexander. My dad used to train all them sort of guys, and Maurice Core, and good guys, you know, good London guys. I can't think them off the. But always said when they was fighting, he'd always send them over to me a week before to show them how to do the weight, how to manage their last 4 or 6 pound, you know, in fight week. And it was very, very simple for me because, you know, I always had to make weight during making weight myself. So it was very easy for me. And I used to do it like, I used to tell them what to do with their liquids. It's very simple. Basically cut it all in half, depending where they was. Because I was only like 6, 8 pound overweight a week before. You know, my dad trained them, you know, very methodically. So it was very, very easy. But so I guess that was my very, very first form of coaching fighters. But then my dad obviously started to train Billy Joe Saunders, and then I got involved with my dad with that. I mean, with Billy Joe, yeah, he was my first, my dad's fighter. I was an assistant trainer with Billy Joe Saunders. Yeah.
Now there's an interesting person, because you probably know Billy like I know Billy. I've known Billy since he was a kid, and he's cuckoo. He's crazy. He's a crazy kid, and he gets a lot of bad press. But if you knew Billy, there's no badness in him. That's just him being him.
No, he's got Billy Joe Saunders. He's got a great heart. He's got a good heart, and he's a very, 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 regardless of what happened to him and my father, he's the most loyalist man in boxing I know. And people, why can you say that? But listen, I know him, and you know, he's a very, very brilliant is an understatement, boxer-wise. Very, very intelligent. You know, he used to know what the fighters who he was facing are going to throw before they did. He's that clever. And his weight management has just been his own problem. But for hitting pain barriers and whatnot, the man is one tough son of a bitch, but he's as equally, if not clever, with it. So that's what makes him made him very, very special. And I feel that if he don't back his ideas up, I have nothing to do with him now, but if he don't back his ideas up, he's going to regret his last few years, if you know what I mean, because there's a window. Yeah, there's a window there where he can really be an ambassador for his people and through his brilliant boxing. You know what I mean? But like what you're saying about Billy, he's you know him very, very well. He's got a very, very good heart. You know, regardless of all this silliness, he lets himself. Sorry, Mark.
Crazy, man. He's just crazy, isn't he? He's just crazy. He's just crazy.
Do you know what it is? He loves a wind up. I'll never forget when he first turned pro, when he first turned professional. His dad Tom, the lovely guy. He's a lovely guy. He says, I'll never forget when he was talking to me dad regarding his son. He went, Jimmy, he loves a wind up. He said, I'm going to let you know. But that's all he is. He loves a game. He loves a game. He's a wind up.
And that's all. That, like I said, if you knew him, that's all he is. I mean, he does get some terrible press, but a lot of it, he causes a lot of it himself. But he's a lovely kid down deep inside. I've known him since he was a child. You know. I was in the opposite corner to him 6 times and never got near to beating him. So, wow. You know, he's an incredible fighter.
Yeah.
So you get going, and I know you were in the Peacock, because that's where I met you, because we were Rocky Dean and that we had Rocky Dean, remember?
Yeah, Rocky Dean, yeah.
Yeah, and you get going as a pro coach, and now you turn into a pro manager as well, and you've done this and that. What's sort of the best? Who would be the best people that you've had?
Best boxers, fighters, you mean?
Fighters, yeah.
Well, Billy Joe's one of them. See, I get a buzz out of all the fighters, regardless if they're 4-rounders, 6-rounders, 8-rounders, 10-rounders, obviously, and 12-rounders. But I get a buzz out of all of them, as long as they comply with, because when they comply, there's a process. And during that process, they perform. And that's where I get my buzz from. They perform. But the best fighters I've trained are people like Colin Lyons, Billy Joe Saunders. Of course, he was we got him from like southern area right the way through to world champion. So he done it the old-fashioned way, and he nailed it. Should be done, and that's how he learned his craft. Like you talk about maturity, like I see during that process how he got stronger, more craftier, more intelligent. Well, he's always been crafty and cunning and intelligent, but you know, with little maturity, it's going to be a difficult job down the line. But they pick the fights right along the way, and if you know what I'm saying. But Dillian Whyte was a phenomenal guy to work with, regardless of what's happened between me and him. I've had some very, very, well, you know yourself, some pay-per-view. We went from, excuse me, Kev, sorry, mate.
Just get muted, sorry, mate.
Sorry, mate. We went from, I started off with Dillian Whyte from an 8-round fighter. We moved into, as a team, nice one, Kev. We moved into world number 1 with teamwork, with our management and Dillian's hard work, and all of us, we work very, very hard. So Colin Lyons sticks out to me. Colin Lyons, we had a few fights with him. Me and my dad training together, but he was British champion, but I think he won an EBU title with before us, sort of thing. Colin Lyons sticks in my mind. Frank Buglioni, phenomenal guy to train. He was limited, but you know, he gave me his heart and soul, and we did get results. But you know, he was a little bit limited, but he was a proper for work ethic, like Dillian Whyte, Frank Buglioni, Billy Joe Saunders. I've got some other guys there I bloody can't think of, but but Dillian Whyte and Billy Joe are up, you know.
So your style of coaching, do you think your style of coaching is sort of old school, or is it a bit of a mixture of old school and sports science and that sort of stuff, or is it your own knowledge, obviously with you and your dad, or you know what sort of where do we start? Where, you know, I mean, I've always known a lot of your boxers, and because I remember you had a fabulous jab, and I've always known your boxers were very, very good with a jab themselves. You know, that's something that you've ingrained into them from the very start, or do we?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, how I see it, Mark. You know, when I coach a boxer or a fighter, you know, you get a picture of their background by chatting with them. But I feel that whether you're a boxer or a fighter, it's important to have a good, strong jab. Don't have to be strong jab, but everything comes behind the jab, because we lead with the jab, whether it's the left or the right side. But so yeah, the jab controls the pace. It can dictate. It can control. It can measure, and it can feint and kid. So you've got to use that jab wisely. And if you use the jab wisely, you know, you might have to use it all night long, up and down, all night long, and bang until you crack, you know, until you get your measure. And you might have to do it all night to win. But I'm a great believer in working behind and off the jab. Yeah. But what was your question, Mark? Sorry again.
No, I was saying about your coaching style. What
Oh,
sort
yeah,
of,
coaches.
where do you stand with sports science? Where do you stand with, old school, just
Yeah,
experience, talking to your dad, or is it a bit of mixture of a bit of everything?
it is a bit of with myself, Mark. I must say, there's times to lean towards the old school, and there's times to lean towards the new school. But I've got to say, and I don't want to sit on the fence. I kind of sit on in the middle because I'm lucky enough to be brought up with both sides, and I'm very open-minded. But sports science has moved on. But at the end of the day, I know what we've did. I know how we've won titles without all this. With just a gym and hard work and sitting down and studying what's in front of us. That's what it's all about. It's not difficult. It's not that difficult. It is got a bit complicated today, I must admit, and it is laughable at times. But there's a lot of gimmicks, and I feel there is a lot of gimmicks and add-ons and the complicating things. I don't know why, but there are there's times to use the new school, and there's times to use the old school. But you've got to keep open-minded. Dillian White, for instance, when he come to me 4 or 5 years ago, he was adamant on using Loughborough University for his strength and conditioning, and I said, no problem, Dillian. Listen, do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with me in the West Ham gym, and I want to do boxing with you, and I want to do some conditioning with you. And we was in the gym for like 2.5 hours, 2 hours, and the man was strong in every area. I've got to say, he's strong in every area. His boxing and his feet was, yourself, was a little clumsy. But by working and working and working, and showing him a little bit how we transfer our weight, how we glide, how we slip and slide, and gracefully glide our feet. He kind of he's a big man, but a big man can do it. Big men can do it if they keep working at it. So I feel that we work well together in that department. But I went up to Loughborough University with him, and it was a very good eye opener, and I learnt a lot myself up there. So I learnt a little bit myself up there, but I'm very, very confident if we never had them facilities in doing as good a job as we've done in getting the world #1. And I hate to say it, but I probably would have done a little bit better. If
I'm not one bit surprised. I'm not one bit surprised with that answer, Mark. I'm not one bit surprised at all. Known you as I do, I'm not one bit surprised. But obviously being open-minded is the key. If you're an open-minded trainer or coach, you'll always go places. That's a given. So it's great to hear that from somebody else. But so as a trainer, we're going to open for some questions in a minute, Ivan. Whenever you've got a minute. Just speaking about Dillian again. I did ask you last night, was it okay to talk about him? You said it was fine. So where do you sort of stand? Is it bitterness? Is it like, it's done now, it's done and dusted, let's get on with it and move on to the next chapter? Or, sort of where does it lie with you a little bit, Mark, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, well, Mark, to tell the truth, it's all done and dusted now. It's all done and dusted. I had a wonderful journey with Dillian White. We had some good times, and there weren't a lot of bad times, to tell you the truth. That was the frustrating part of it. There was no bad times. The only bad times we had was going through the drama with the Rivas situation. Post Rivas fight, it all come to me about the adverse findings and whatnot. So that was the only bad bit of ride we had. But it all when we went out to Saudi Arabia, it all got not blown over. It all got put right, so to speak. But I had a good journey with Dillian, and I'm not bitter. I'm not one bit with Dillian. We worked well together. We had good I've got good memories with Dillian. It was tough, you know. We worked very, very, very hard. As I said before, not a lot of people, I don't think, would have done what I did and what we did as a team. It was tough, but we was very determined people, and me personally knew what Dillian had, and I think in his last 3 fights, I kept talking about a 30% more to come out from him, yeah. And I knew there was another 30% more, but you know, there's little bits and pieces I weren't very happy with what he was doing, strength and conditioning wise. But you know, that's another story. But yeah. No, I've got to say, I've got no bitterness with me and Dillian. I've got all love for him, really. Just a little bit frustrated the way the communication broke down between him and myself.
That would be very frustrating. Absolutely.
It was, you know.
Yeah, because all you want is to be told, isn't it? You know, all you want is to be told and told the truth, and then you can move along whichever direction you need to move along to. Really. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So what lies, before we do open up for some questions, Mark? What lies? Oh, just one other thing that I cut in the back of my head. Tell us about the press conference with Chisora when he picked the table up and just missed your head with it.
The Chisora first fight. Well, to be honest with you, we was all. I was more aware of Chisora for years before. I mean, Dillian's grown up in the same area as Chisora, so they all knew each other. They all knew what the mindsets of each other and whatnot. But so did I, because you know he was with Warren at one time, wasn't he? Chisora. And so he was a friend of Billy Joe's, and they had a very good relationship, and we used to see him from time to time. Derek in the gym over at the TKO in Canning Town sometimes. He used to come over for his own bit of sparring. But no, so I knew he was a bit volatile, Derek. He was all right with us, but I knew he was a little bit hot-headed himself, and he could be volatile. Yes, mate. This one. Sorry, Mark. What's it, mate?
Okay, mate.
Come on, mate. And regarding the press conference, we was all a little bit touchy, I guess, like we all are in big fights. The trainers and the fighters and a couple of the members on the entourage, but also, Mark, I had about £30,000 in cash. It wasn't my cash, unfortunately. It was ticket money, because it was some ticket money which I had to pay in to the promoter, to Matchroom, and I had it underneath my feet, so I didn't want to lose that, and I was on that all the time. I was more concerned about that than Derek Chisora, trust me. but the table come over, and I was really concerned. Honestly, I was concerned for Adam Smith, to tell the truth, next to me, because not that he can't handle himself. I'm confident with myself. Dillian won't even take notice of him, but I just want people around me to be safe as well. But this whole 30 grand beneath my feet, I didn't want to be paying that. But yeah, no, it was. It was what it was. You saw it all. But since that, about a month after that fight, I was over at the West Ham football ground at Stratford, the new ground. I went. Someone gave me some tickets to see the Rolling Stones. You know, the rock band.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I was a little late, but running to the stadium, I can hear the Stones playing the guitar. I can hear them warming up, the band warming up. And as I got my tickets, Derek Chisora was running at me, and I ain't seen him since the fight. So I thought, oh shit, he's gonna go here. He's gonna flat, just steamroll me. But he was as good as gold. He gave me an eye fight, and he weren't far from me. He had good seats with me. We were standing actually, but we was right near Mick Jagger. But he was as good as gold actually, and he's been a nice guy since. Yeah.
And for the future now, Mark, I know you've opened up your own gym. You've got your own stable now, and so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I was looking. I've always had my eyes open for a bit of space to train to train because I since moved away from the Peacock to just on the edge of London in a place called Upminster. So it's just on the edge of the M25. So I'm up that way, and I was travelling to, obviously I was staying at the Loughborough University with Dillian. I also was travelling it a lot, and but I was also had my other boys in my camp that I was not overseeing. I was training them as well. I used to go to the Peacock from where I live now. I used to go to the Peacock, which is about 12, 14 mile. But sometimes you'd hit a bit of traffic because you're going in London, sort of thing. So I used to train them from about 9 a.m. in the morning till about midday at the Peacock Gym, Canning Town, and then I used to drive back to where I live, and then have a clean up, have me shower, have me a bit of food, rest up, and then at 4 o'clock I'll be on the road to Loughborough to train Dillian. And I've done that for 3 or 4 years. And I'll be honest with you, when we booked sparring in, I used to stay on camp. I used to stay in camp with Dillian. And so I used to look after my other boys and train Dillian also. But that was back then. And obviously when he pay-per-view, I used to stay with him a lot more. And it was better on myself as well. It was tiring. But getting past all this, I was always looking for a place to train my fighters. And now I've got a place. It's in Rainham in Essex. It's called Origins Gym. It's been a gym for about 13 years, this place. It's a weightlifting gym downstairs. But I've got
No, you've gone.
Can I show you quickly? Do you mind?
Yeah. If
Can
you
I
can
show
see,
you guys? Guys?
Yeah.
Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah. This
I
is
can
the
actually
gym.
see you. Hold on a sec. We can't actually see you.
Origin Gym.
We can see now, Mark. I can see now.
Did you lose me?
Yeah.
Have you got me now?
Yeah.
Did you see the gym?
Yeah. No, you didn't see any of it. Just show us again. No, the connection's not great, is it?
What I was saying was since I've stopped working with Dillian White now, I've got a gym in Rainham called Origin Gym, and it's in Rainham. This is where I train my boxing camp. It's here.
Your screen's frozen, Mark.
This is where I build champions. I'm really sorry, man.
That's okay. No worries. No worries. Yeah. No worries. Okay,
Yeah.
Ivan, you can.
I wanted to show you the gym. Sorry, where I'm based now, but yeah, I'm in Rainham in Essex. It's called Origin Gym.
Yeah. Okay. No worries, Mark.
Sorry about that,
Ivan.
mate.
No worries.
First speaker then, or first question is going to come from Chris Lodge.
Mark, hiya, mate. Listen, thanks for your story. It's been great to listen to that. You used to train Dillian in Miguel's gym in Brixton a couple of nights for a little while, and it was always great to see you in there. And you've kind of almost answered my question a bit earlier. One of the things that I really thought you improved with Dillian, I used to watch him down there years ago, and one of the things that really struck me was the way you tidied up his footwork. He became a lot more fluid. It appeared to me that when his feet moved faster, his hands moved faster. Yeah. And it was remarkable. I'm not in the pro game, Mark, so I'm looking at it from an amateur point of view. But in the years that I saw Dillian down there, it was a remarkable improvement in not a lot of time, in my eyes. Could you just sort of tell me what processes you went through? How long does it take to change? I mean, let's be honest. Dillian was always effective. He could always bang. but
Yeah.
sometimes his front foot was a little bit wooden, if that's not too derogatory. But
Yeah.
it was a remarkable change. What was the process like?
Chris, firstly, I know your voice. I can't see you on here myself, but I met you, a tall guy, slim guy. You train the girls and the amateurs down there, right?
Mate, you can carry on with the tall, slim, all you like, mate. That's very kind of you.
I'm sure I remember you. You were a coach
Yeah,
down
yeah.
there.
Yeah, we used to chat, yeah.
Yeah, I remember you. I could hear your voice, Chris. The process was literally, how I worked Dillian was. I mean, he stuff that he wasn't very, very good at. I used to do it with him until he was good at it. I couldn't really tell him what I was doing with him, because he was a little bit confrontational. And but he did deliver. So as long as he delivered, he could be as controversial, he could be as argumentative as he wanted. But I did avoid the arguments with him, and I just encouraged and tidied him up through repetitive drills, I guess, and mainly I showed him how. Sometimes I used to show him, and he appreciated that. I mean, not so long ago, I'll give you an example, Chris. Not so long ago, we was in a gym over North London called Monster Gym, and I finished my work with him. But I was chatting to someone about Dillian regarding his strength and conditioning again, and someone on the outside told him to throw this right up to the body, and I couldn't help but stop. I said, no, you don't throw a right up to the body with this guy you're fighting. I'll tell you for why. Stand in front of me. So he stands in front of me, but he smiled. When he stood in front of me, he used to smile, because he knows I'm going to show him. I went, right, give me that right up to the body. Give me that right up that he's just asked you to throw. Basically, someone on the outside making themselves busy, but it wound me up in the end. You used to have a lot of people around him. So as they throw that right up to the body, I've gone whip, done him with his left hook, done him with the left hook. That's what you throw as well. So two hookers, you're gonna leave yourself wide open. So that's how I used to coach him, Chris. Sometimes I used to show him it because I really believed in what I was preaching, so to speak. So if I believe in what I preach, I try and show him, and that's how I used to coach Dillian. But he was, like you say, Chris. He was a good fighter. He loved to fight, and he loved to have it. And I feel I calmed him down a little bit and showed him how and when to have it. If you know what I'm saying. Boxing clever, so to speak. If you know what I mean.
No, that makes a lot of sense what you said. I mean, I could see that from the time that he was down Miguel's in the early days to the time when I met you down there coaching with him, and it was, as I said before, it was a big improvement. But listen, Mark, thank you very much, mate. No
problem, Chris. That's all right, mate. Thank you. Good to hear from you, Chris, again. I want to come and see you soon.
Yeah, that'd be great, mate. Catch up soon. Take care.
Yeah, take care.
Mark, I had a question sent by WhatsApp earlier today. It's from Liam Alloway, sorry. Now, his father is David Alloway at the GB, and he's asking, how do you deal with pressure, if any, on having a famous and successful coach as your father in your own coaching?
How do I deal with it? I don't know. Do I deal with it? I'm not sure if I feel any pressure, to tell you the truth. Who's that I'm talking to?
I'm speaking on behalf of Liam, but it's Ivan speaking.
Yeah, Ivan. Yeah, I'm not really sure if I feel any pressure. I mean, I guess I do at times when I'm getting compared. I must do. I wouldn't be normal if I said I didn't. But it's just something you've got to be a bit mature about, I guess. If you're unmature about it, you're not going to bloody last in anything you do in life, I guess. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's even if you feel it there or there, you got to roll with the punches, and you got to, if you believe in what you're doing, you just got to keep moving forward and doing what you do best, I guess. Yeah. But, pressure from time to time, but you know, it wouldn't be so rewarding if there's no pressure there. You get me?
Yeah, I understand. I'm sure. Obviously, he's a young lad just starting out in the coaching. Obviously, Dad's done 3 Olympics plus sort of thing, and that. So he's.
Oh, I get you.
Point as well. So
he's lucky. Yeah, he's got to look at it. He's very, very blessed. He's lucky. He's got a father that's been in the business at a very, very good level. So he's obviously got some good foundations there himself, like myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's positive.
That's lovely. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. The next one speaks Justin Spring.
Hi, Mark. How you doing, mate?
Justin, how you doing, sir? You okay?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been very interesting listening to your comments and views about boxing and stuff, your coaching when you're a boxer. You mentioned about your father giving you a bit of pressure when you were boxing at an early age. As a coach, what's your advice on how to handle your own pressure and your boxer's pressure? What are the signs, mate, and how would you sort of control them and calm them down?
What if you're coaching your son or something? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got my lad who boxes, but boxers in general in your actual gym.
Yeah. And you're his father, right?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, I've seen it, and I've grown up in it myself. I can only talk for myself, but and you know, I've got a son myself now who's 5-year-old, so I can't preach and say, you know, because we love our blood, don't we? We want the best for our blood.
I tend to
so
hand up. I tend to be in his corner and hand up to him.
Yeah.
Rather than air it and, you know.
Yeah. Do you know what? All I'm going to say from my experience is this. To be honest with you, you've all brought back memories of myself, because when my dad sent me to Repton Senior, which I was Repton Junior, when I was only 13, and I went on there till I was 19, and I won more or less everything there, apart from senior titles, and I've done very, very well there, and I wish I'd have stayed on to fight in senior titles. But thinking back now, my father left me there, and he weren't around me. He was not around me. You brought back the memory now. He wasn't around me. But in my really early days, when I was a little kid, so I looked at some videos the other day, which I got out at last, and they're brilliant, man. They're phenomenal, and I'm showing my own son now, because my dad's at ringside. He was passionate, and do you know something? I'm not just saying it because, and sometimes a part of me hates to say it. He was writing his instructions on everything he called. That was me as a young kid. And as a senior, he'd never, ever come to the gym at the senior. Probably he was grafting and doing his business, but I used to get on a train. And funny enough, I used to get on a train and go to Whitechapel from Barking. I lived at Barking back then. But then Georgie, to coach me, he used to live in Barking also, so he ended up taking me Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. Mondays, Fridays, yeah. So
do you think he probably give you what he had to give you, get you started out, and then you found your own way? Would that be?
Yeah.
What you think?
You've touched on something here, my man, because he left me in my teens, and I've done brilliant. You know, he left me in brilliant, but. When I was early days, young Repton, as I said, he was in prison, and my uncle used to take me. And then when I went to West Ham, my dad was out of prison, and he took me at West Ham. I did pretty good at West Ham. I wasn't there very long, but I won my first schoolboy title there. But as a professional, my dad had a big team around him, and he trained some good champions, world champions, European champions, British champions, area champions. So I had a lot of pressure on himself, and I was an up and coming professional, and so there was a lot of pressure on him, I guess, and the standard was very, very high, because he was training a lot of people who was more man than I was, and I guess he expected that of me, and I guess that's where I felt the pressure. But I never forget I'll never forget in West Ham Boxing Club, the old West Ham Boxing Club, as a professional when I was about 22, 23. I'll never forget a fighter from Scotland. His name was Pat Clinton. He was very, very good back then.
Yeah, I remember. I've heard the name. Don't remember.
Yeah. I think he was
boxing, but I've heard the name.
A European champion with my father. But I think my dad was very, very hard on me in my 20s as a professional. And
that's the thing. I don't want to be that coach where I'm too hard on him. Obviously, I want to try and give him the knowledge or as much knowledge as I know. But I tend to pass stuff on to other coaches, just so he gets basically the views of everyone else as well. Because we don't all know everything as a coach, you know, do we?
Yeah.
You know,
well, I think I've got a young son now, and I'm an old dad. I'm an old dad at 51 as a 5-year-old son. I think if I was to do it with my son, it would be like, I'd be on the outside, and I think if I was going to do it, I'd do it this way. I'd sieve out the coaches who I'd like to get around my son and try and get them around my son. And then, you know, that way, and when it's time to move on, I'll try and, you know, I think I've got a good eye for them than ram it down my son's ear hole myself, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
We're all different, and I'll probably be like my bloody dad was to me to my son. But
Yeah. Well, cheers, Mark. Cheers for the insight, mate, and all the best with your stable, mate. And I really hope you carry on, because I felt a bit for you, mate, where you've got Dillian to that mandatory stage, and you know there is a chance that in the next year he can become world champion. And I feel for coaches where they take a person or a boxer to that echelon, right to the stage, and then they miss out on that glory. And I find that unfair, mate. So I really hope you get on with your stable, mate. And I really do, mate.
Thank you. God bless you, sir. Thank you again.
God bless, mate.
Thank you, sir.
Next one's Q.
Who's that, mate?
Mark, you all right, Mark? How you doing, mate?
How you doing, Governor? You okay?
Yeah, tip top, buff. Great listening to your story, mate. Listen, you know, it's been hard times for everyone, isn't it? Yeah, with COVID. Give us all something positive that you've got out of COVID, the situation. Because it's been locked down, especially in the beginning. But what's a positive thing you can take out of this situation, COVID-19 we're all in?
Yeah, well, the thing I've got out of this lockdown scenario, so to speak, is I've continued to find space, you know, to do exercise, to breathe in fresh air, and take my missus, my family, and my fighters even, you know, with all within the distancing rules, so to speak. So I've continued to do my best in staying focused that way. But you know, we'll get down from time to time, and as in life we all do. But the thing is, I think the best thing we can do is to the more we keep on top of ourselves, as in find time for ourselves. And I know we've got to look after our families and this one and that one, but if we can't look after ourselves, we can't look after each other. So we've got to find time to be appreciate each other. And I've got out of COVID is I love nature anyway. You know, I love nature, so I love nature even more now that it's not full up with pollution and things like that. And wake up call, and I think it's a little bit of a reset for everyone, and you know, and everyone, so to speak. But that's all I can say.
Yeah.
We're
a lot of coaches.
We're all in the same boat, but we've got to try and, you know, get out there, stay healthy. Most importantly, stay healthy and be kind. Be kind and to one another. I think that's important.
Yeah, a lot of coaches are saying that, Mark. They're saying, you know, that it's because we all get right into it, don't we? And we're just training and going to shows and going to camps and doing this and doing that. But one thing COVID has done for you know, for a lot of people, especially boxing coaches, is giving them time to spend time with their families and do other things. So yeah, cheers, mate. I appreciate that, and keep doing what you're doing, mate. And good luck.
Thank you very much. All the best.
All right. Take care, Mark.
Take care, my man. God bless you.
We now go to Ian Brum. You're on.
Okay, mate. Hi, Mark.
Hello, Ian. How you doing, sir?
All good, mate. Yeah. Mark, just to ask you, mate, what's look, two questions in one, really. What would you say was your main sort of idiosyncratic sort of habit, pet hate in the gym, and how would you describe yourself as a sort of autocratic or democratic type of coach?
Please explain what them words mean, if you don't mind.
I'm a Brummie. I'm trying to sound a bit cleverer than I really am.
But I think I get what you're trying to say. I mean, to be honest with you, listen, this is how I work it out. If I see a fighter and I look like I'm going to work with him, yeah, I kind of, when I do his hands up, I'll try and find a bit of common ground, but I'll try to assess who he is and what he's about and whatnot. And then I try and then during the weeks or the months I'm training him or coaching him or early doors, you know, I like to press buttons to get the best out of them. Sometimes I encourage. Most of the time I tell the truth, because with the truth, like Mark said earlier on, you know where you stand with the truth, and then you can move on from the truth. So I try not to sugarcoat anything. I do give praise when I have to give praise, and but when I'm not happy, I let them know why I'm not happy and why I'm not happy, and if they agree, and I always say to them, does it make sense in what I'm saying? And if it don't, please not challenge me on it. Please bring it to my attention, and then we'll have it out. But I like to be very, very straightforward with what I'm working with, you know. And I think that's the only way you can do things. And I feel I get a lot of. By being that way, I get results. I get results whether they're big or they're small. They're results. They go away feeling good about themselves, and they go away. I feel they go away feeling better because the fighting or the style or the technique or whatever it is I'm telling them will make them a better person, better fighter.
So, and what would you say was your main sort of pet hate around the gym? You know, the little things.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfectly, mate. Yeah. What's my main sort of pet hate around the gym, sort of thing, like?
Yeah, my pet hate around the gym is rude manners and ignorance. You know, I know we ain't having a good day all the time, but listen, I don't like bad manners. I don't think none of us do we?
Brilliant. Okay, man. Thanks very much for that. I appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
All the best, my man. Good man. Thank you.
Just a quick one. It's Ivan back on again. Mark, Nigel Travis said he's had to shoot. He's been called out, but he just wants to send his regards to you.
Yeah, he's a good man, Nigel. He's a very, very good man. I love watching what he's doing. He's doing a wonderful job with Jamie Moore up there, and he's a good man. He done me a favour with Harvey Horn. I haven't got to see him yet to thank him, but he looked after a European champion I got called Harvey Horn. He looks after him. When I was working with Dillian one night, the promotions clashed. Yeah, regards to Nigel himself as well.
Thanks, Priya, next.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Hello, darling. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Lovely, thank you. What's your name?
Cool. Priya.
Freya.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hello.
So I have a question regarding female boxing. I don't know if you watched Tasha boxing Terry Harper at the weekend, and it was just epic as far as I was concerned. But
right.
Do you have any particular strong views one way or the other on an increase in number of females turning pro? And I have a supplementary question to that, but I'll ask you that after.
Yeah, I'm going to be very, very honest with you.
Do you agree with it? Do you think it's great? Or?
Yeah, I've got to be very, very honest with you. Women boxing is grown on me in the last mm-hmm. 5 years. But at first, when I was working out of a gym in the TKO in Canning Town, I mean, I had some girl fighters. You know, you got to remember the years I was brought up in boxing. It was only boys, you know, it was only boys, no head guards, mm-hmm. and it was very, very it was a man thing, a boy thing. We never had women in the gym, and that's the way I've just been brought up. So
Yeah.
it's only in the last 5 years that it's something that not I've accepted. It's just grown on me, you know. It's
Right.
grown on me. And Katie Taylor, Terry Harper, and Jonas the other night. What a credit them girls are doing. It was phenomenal, that fight. And yeah, and Clarissa Shields over there in America, and you know.
Yeah.
there's
What
just more.
shifted that for you? Is it? Sorry, I interrupted you.
I guess what shifted it for me is just, I guess, a gradual acceptance of acceptance. If does that make sense? I mean, you know, I never hated it, or it just was something. You know, it was just something. I've got to be careful what I say here because you get in trouble. But you know, just
like I'd rather just hear it because it, like.
Well, I just
boxed at a time when.
I'll tell you for why.
It's cutting out.
It was something I've not grown up in. It wasn't part of my upbringing. Girls fighting. I know they fought. I mean, my girl cousins fight worse than the men. but that's on the street. I'm you know, it's a joke now. But what I'm saying is, it was just never done. It was never brought. Was never thought of in boxing in the 70s and the 80s, for me anyway. And it, obviously times, and we've all moved on, like we were talking about earlier on with the strength and conditioning and the sports science, and we've all moved on, and we've all got to evolve, and if we want to stay in the business, we've got to, you know, move with it. You know what I'm saying?
Move with it.
So no,
yeah,
I am a big fan. And Katie Taylor had a big Katie Taylor. I'm a big fan of Katie Taylor's, and I think
me too.
Yeah, she's a great fighter. She's a great fighter, and she's a lovely human being. I don't know her, but I've seen her a couple of times, and I've shared the top table.
She comes across as like really nice, doesn't she?
What's that?
She comes across like she's really nice.
She is. Well, I've only spoken to her time, but I don't know her. But she's a proper ambassador for women's boxing for sure.
And I sort of had a little supplementary question, if that's all right, Ivan.
Yeah, go on.
Thank you. Would you, I mean, like you kind of answered this already, but if you were to coach a female pro, would you do it? And would you do it differently because she's female, or would you just take exactly the same approach as a male?
Absolutely, I'd love to get involved with a female pro if and when, you know, it works out for either of us. But I've got my eye on one. What's his name? Daniel Dubois' sister. She's red hot of her, European champion at the Peacock Gym. But she's Caroline. That's her, Caroline. She's gonna be a good pro if she ever turns over.
She's awesome.
World champion, Mark. World and youth Olympic champion.
What's that?
She's world champion and youth Olympic champion.
That's right. That's right. Thank you.
4-time European champion.
Yeah. She's a lovely. She's a good. Seen her spar a few times in the Peacock. I like the way she carries herself, and who knows? I often say to her, "You're going to be my first female fighter."
Would you approach it differently though, because she's female?
Do you know what? No, I don't. No, I couldn't. I mean, no. You should. You know, they got the targets. The targets there. The targets are there. The targets are there. The solar plexus. You know, if that's what you're saying. But no, I mean, I'm sure. You know, as a lady in the gym, you got to approach it a little bit differently, I think. Do you know what I mean? But I would train them just the same. I hope to think I would train them just the same as I'd be training all other pros I've worked with. And each and every pro that you train, or each and every person you train, they're all bespoke, so to speak, because we're all very different, and you know, we work on different strengths and weaknesses, and it's up to us coaches to identify them and bring the best out of them we can, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. All the best.
Have a nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you too.
Next one's up, Chad Williams.
Hiya, Mark.
Hi, Chad. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. It was just something you mentioned earlier about when you were coaching Dillian, and I think at a point you said that you were correcting certain elements of his footwork and he'd get quite defensive about it or confrontational. How would you address that, and while still trying to pass on your knowledge as such, or was it that you had a good enough rapport with him that you could deal with it?
Well, some days were better than others, like anything, you know, when you're at work. But it's just something you've got to approach day by day. But generally, if it was a bit of a sore subject, you knew we had to work on them areas. You know what I mean? And for instance, I go back to that time when I said when someone got involved and I encouraged him to throw a right hook with a left hooker. A right hook to the body with a left hooker. I went, stand in front of me, Dillian. I says, no, you don't do that. Not with a left hooker. Not early doors. That means straight away sort of thing. I said, give me your right hook to the body, what you asked him. And as he threw the right hook, so I was coming, I went, crunch. I crunched his chin. I didn't crunch his chin, but I showed him. And he went, yeah, but I'll move. This is the confrontation I'm talking about. He go, yeah, but I'll be moving off at the same time. So I went, right, do it and move off. So as I went crunch, as he moved off, I went crunch with the right hand. So he moved off. So you don't think he ain't intelligent enough to, you know, to move with you. Like that's how I work with him. So in a way, I feel that in that scenario, he was probably working with me because, yeah. But you know, I'm not saying he was confrontational all the time. What I'm saying is that's the way we worked, and it worked really, really well. You know, he probably wanted to think, right, Mark, say I'll do that on the move. Say they're going to me, right, Mark, I'm going to do that. And if he does that, I'll do it on the move. And I'll say, well, that's still dangerous because he'll go, crunch, bang, together, crunch, bang. Or he could even move his feet with you. But he used to like that. But some people, I'm not sure, or coaches would work. I'm not sure could work like that, but I had to work like that because I got results doing that. You know what I mean? I wasn't that stupid. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense, Mark. It seems like you had you were at one with him, sort of thing. You had a rapport going there, so it was easy for you to get your point across, I guess.
Yeah, we worked well. Some people call it confrontational, but that's how we worked, and we delivered. For instance, another thing, me and me dad don't always see eye to eye, but when we work together, we click, man. We click. It's like spiritual. When we work together, it is spiritual. And he hates to say it, and so do I. But I'm telling you, it is. We get the job done when we connect. I mean, 99.9% of the time. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, you know, we can't win everything, but yeah, we work well together. And you know, that's the way it is. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant! Funny enough, we have two coaches in the gym who are about the same age, and they weren't related, but they grew up in the same household. But they have the same thing where their minds just seem to work the same or work well together. So I think that just comes with years of experience and building knowledge, I guess. But yeah.
That's right. Bounce off each other. Yeah. That's right. That's good. Thanks, Chad.
Cheers. Thanks for that, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hang on, yeah. Justin wants to come back on again. You're on.
Hi, Mark. Yeah, it's been, like I say, it's been great listening to you. Loving your honesty, mate, and how you're coming across and giving us all your feedback. It's really good. Just a quick one. For your experience as a coach, mate, what is the best advice you can give to a new coach starting up?
Sorry, say that again, one more.
For your experience as a coach, what's the best advice you can give to a new coach just coming into the game?
Yeah, well, you've got to as a coach, you've got to welcome on all comers, and you've just got to. It's good to listen. It's good to listen. It's good to listen and not and remind yourself they're all different. And but at the end of the day, you know, there's a shoulder area, there's a lower body area, there's a midriff area, and there's a neck area. They all need strengthening and balancing, yeah. And so to get the balance right, if you can balance that out, then the coaching comes involved. So you build and balance, which is not hard, simple. You can do it with body weight, and some people need a bit of resistance if they're a little bit lacking in a bit of strength. Depends how old they are, because they've still got maturing to do. But you get to find all that out, and you get to know all that. With the more you do it, the better you become at it. And so, you know, as a young coach, you got to look at what's in front of you, find out their age, and you know the best attributes and their worst attributes. You work it all out yourself. If you're interested in it, you'll learn and you'll grow and you'll be successful. But you've got to stick at it.
Because I've found, I'm sure a lot of coaches will agree, that boxing is very repetitive. You know, you go through the same things. How do you find to keep it interesting to your boxers? What do you change a lot of stuff, or do you just keep on as it is?
Well, this is what you do. Like, for instance, it depends on if you say you're doing like this is what you do. Look, you've got someone in front of you. They're shaping up like that. They're doing the same old thing. But then you got to think, right? If they ain't doing that, they can't keep doing that. Punching this is. So they might have to. They've got to have a little walk. And then a little feint, a little kid. Because some of my fighters, I make them control the pace without throwing a punch, and they say, "Why can you do that?" But you've got to stick them with a jab from time to time. You know what I mean? To let them feel it. But you can edge someone out the centre by feinting and kidding and threatening and showing. So you work on them things, and then you can work on your defence. You're tucking up, you're slipping, you're spinning off, you're rolling. You know what I mean? But when you think about what's doing all this work, and it's our anatomy, our body, so we've got to have a well-conditioned body, So like I said, the midriff earlier on, where I like my fighters to take less punches as possible, less as possible.
Yeah, as a coach, you'd love your boxers to keep doing that, because the idea they say is to hit and not get hit. But you know,
so not get hit. Yeah, it's all about distance and range. Distance and range. And what gives you distance and range? Your left jab or your right jab or your feet. Yeah, but they've got to work in harmony. And why they're working in harmony, you've got to move that head. Why? Because you've got to slip stuff. And if you can slip stuff, slip in range, you can start to work on. You know, if you go first, slip it first. Have a walk, or back him up. But then you got to slip and. Yeah.
You don't always need to keep pressurising. I know amateurs very different to a professional game, where you've only got that certain time to get everything off and impress the judges in such a short space of time. So obviously there is a difference between that element, the pro and the amateur game. But I took a session last night, and I did say to him, I said, unfortunately, you know, you choose a sport, and it's a very lonely sport. You know, you can't hide behind your defence or your midfield like you can in a football team. And, you know, it's very repetitive. And what we do in the gym, we go over and over and over. Yeah. So my question really is just how do you keep it fresh? How do you keep them interested?
This is, for instance, so you've got to change it around. This is how you change it around. You can do foot drills. You do foot drills, yeah. You can do, you know, whatever you're training. So you're working So you can do skipping drills, foot drills. There's all different stuff you can do. But like you say, you have got to change it about a bit. You can't just do the same what they call
same routines every week in, week out. Yeah,
it's the same. It's all relatively the same. Say you work in your feet. You know, you can work. If you're doing boxing, you can practice going forward, practice going backwards, practice going side to side, or you know what I mean, holding your ground, having a dance, having a walk. But same with body weight training. If you're doing shoulders, there's all different shoulders you can do, core work, you know, and it's all different stuff. It depends what's in front of you and what needs building. And what's very important is not to overdo it and to keep it fresh and to have a day off from time to time, you know, or a change, so to speak. Go out in the park and do something.
Nice,
you know,
one, Mark. Yeah, definitely.
I work in training camps, for instance, and we have a 12-week training camp, for instance. So there's a time I'll do the foundation stuff at first. That's the building. Then we'll do, depending what their weight is, we do track work. We sometimes do hill work, hill training, you know, but it's all got its relevant time and place. Yeah, and you as a coach have got to work out a system and a structure and a system, and then the fighter understands that structure and system. You can tweak it with performance. You have to tweak it with performance. And that means by bringing it down a touch or taking it up a notch or taking it up. Let them hit pain barriers at times. But then it's time to give them a day off. Otherwise, there won't be nothing left.
Yeah, no, I agree totally on that, Mark. So, yeah, thanks for your advice. It's much appreciated, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Cheers, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Mark, we're just going to go back to Mark O'Reilly to bring it to a close. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mark.
Okay, Mark. Once again, my friend, it's excellent to have you on here. Great story. I knew it would be. You know, I've known you for a long time now.
Thank you, Mark.
Great story. Brilliant to have to talk to you. I wish you all the best, as you know, in everything you do. And I'm sure your day will come. And it's not just about Jimmy Tibbs. It'll be about Mark Tibbs, which is what it's all about.